I'm not a simp for any company. Fuck companies. But with production studios, it is a little bit harder for me. I know they're just meant to sell a product, and I know I shouldn't let them endear themselves to me. Hopefully I don't across the board, but I'm not immune to propaganda. On that note, I am a Valve fan. They've made all the games I've ever gotten fixated on, and that's impressive. I'm not usually a fan of video games, and I definitely wouldn't consider myself a gamer. But I love their various world designs, and they have a knack for making what I usually describe as immediately and intensely likable characters. They're always well designed, especially the TF2 ones. But this likability has been going on long before their characters were visually appealing, I think is the nicest way to put it. It led to people legitimately getting emotionally attached to this gaunt specter of death. And don't get me wrong, I love him too. I get so upset if he ever gets hit by anything. But I have to chalk it up mostly to voice acting. Congratulations, Michael Shapiro, you made the friendliest sounding man alive despite the fact that he looks like an old school creepypasta monster. I'm riffing on Barney a lot, I know. All I'm saying is that I'm not super shocked that he was the one character they decided to basically rebuild from the ground up for Half-Life 2. Perfect, 10 out of 10, very sexy. I said I wasn't a simp for companies, I didn't say anything about fictional characters. So Barney has always been a fan favorite, and it's what led to them scaling up his role for Half-Life 2, to the point where I'd put him and Alex about on the same level as major supporting characters. But suddenly, for some reason, that all changed. And he's been missing since 2006. I don't just mean that he hasn't appeared in the game. No, that'd be pretty normal. I mean, it's practically like he's been erased from canon entirely. Barney Calhoun was last seen boarding a train presumably heading to White Forest on the same track as Gordon and Alex's, but it's unclear if he ever made it there. Gordon and Alex's train crashed, so did his? Well, we're not sure. But if he died, you'd think that someone would have mentioned it, like that's a way bigger deal than them getting there safely. But it's still weird that we never see him at White Forest, or hear anyone mention that he got there. But it's weird that we don't ever see him at White Forest, or even hear anyone talking about how he and the civilians made it safely. Bizarrely though, we never hear him mentioned in dialogue. Ever again. But okay, granted, there's only one episode after this, and it's only like an hour and a half if you know how to do it right. Which, I don't, but my point is that's not a super long time, so if that was it, again, it wouldn't be so strange. Like, a little strange, but not that strange. But fast forward to 2020 and we got Half-Life Alyx, a midquel, set 5 years before Half-Life 2. And this time, we really should have seen him somewhere. I guess we don't know when he met up with the scientists again, but like, why wouldn't he be there? If we're fleshing out the middle part of this story, it seems like a missed opportunity. I almost feel like we're cutting it kind of close in the timeline for him not to be there. Wasn't infiltrating the police state a major part of the resistance that they're all a part of? And wasn't he, like, the leader of that? It is definitely weird now. But okay, in 2020 we also got Black Mesa, a remake of the original Half-Life and a marked improvement in every way. This is another game that seeks to flesh out or re-flesh out a major period in time. But again, Barney's just not there. Kleiner and Vance both are, but Barney's just absent. Admittedly, playing the original Half-Life, it's a little bit annoying not knowing which encounters are definitively supposed to be the characters and which ones are just random NPCs. This goes for the scientists and the guards. And when I got Black Mesa, I was super excited because I was finally going to get to know which times I had actually talked to canon characters. And again, we got that for Eli and Isaac, but not Barney. But we actually do get something this time. We get one line of dialogue this time.
You know, Barney's been pretty scarce around these parts. Guess his bar tab must have finally caught up with him.
Okay, this is weird, right? This is now, like, definitively weird. We haven't seen him in fucking forever, and the first line spoken about him is commenting on the fact that he's gone and he's supposed to be here. Why even get someone who sounds like Michael Shapiro if you weren't gonna put Barney in it? I don't get it. Again, both of these games are prequels, so if something did happen on that train, it would only make sense that he would be gone afterwards. But Black Mesa and Half-Life Alyx are both before, well before. And like, where did he go? We're down to looking for remnants of his existence like he's fucking Bigfoot, and I have no idea what happened. And okay, it's not like Valve is a total stranger to placing characters to the side and just forgetting about them. F in chat for Adrian, who's just like sitting in a drawer somewhere collecting dust. But before this, they've always been side characters in games that weren't even made by the same studio. They weren't ones that they ever really intended placing in the timeline to begin with. But this is a fairly major and fan-favorite character with an important role and potentially seriously really interesting backstory, just vanishing into thin air. I really want to see how he had to adapt to actively hurting people for the greater good, especially since he's such a nice person. But he's just been retroactively erased from the timeline. So, what do I think happened? From a game design standpoint, I have no clue. But I do have a theory that functionally works in universe. I do think the train made it. I just think he wasn't on it. It's not like there's an interdimensional entity in this universe that's prone to kidnapping people who have proven themselves capable of adapting and surviving insane circumstances. At this point, I definitely think G-Man took him. Hell, like we see at the end of Blue Shift, it seems like it was in his plans to begin with. But as far as records go, it checks out. Surviving the Black Mesa incident and rescuing several people, visiting Zen without an HEV suit, and again infiltrating the police state and working against it undetected for 2 decades is pretty impressive. Hi, it's me recording on a different day. But as I was editing this, I realized something else. At the end of Half-Life 2 episode None, G-Man was fully planning to take Gordon back. Like, congratulations, you did a good job saving the world, back into the void with ya. But the Vortignauts physically stopped him. And at this point, the big important one free man had returned and his absence would be conspicuous from basically any situation. So if only there was someone with a very similar background, but would be much less conspicuous if he was missing. So I definitely think he snatched him off the train, and for some reason removed him from the timeline. I wish I had a better explanation for that part. But I'm just doing the best with what I've been given. So in universe, maybe that's what happened. But from a real-life game design perspective, I don't have an inkling. I really wish I did. But as of March 2021, Barney Calhoun is still MIA, and it doesn't look like we'll find him anytime soon.
All around me are familiar faces, worn out places, worn out. Number 9, businessmen encounter.